On the target.
On target. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to get it started, even though, we still have a minute and a half, but hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good night, somewhere you are in the world. If you're watching this, we're glad that you're here with us.
I sent
So,
the link to my friend in Ghana.
oh, okay. Yeah. I think Ghana right now is of what, like midnight,
Yeah.
something like
He
that.
might be up, he might not be, but I just thought
Hmm.
I'd
Oh, they can do a replay.
right.
Yep. So today is Thursday. Whoa, yes, Thursday. And March 18.
Right.
So we're still continuing with the theme of resilience and also perseverance. So we feature a lot of story about how do you get through those tough time. Where do you draw the strength from when you being, in that stage that you need the strength to be resilient, bouncing back again and again. So my story is with Sarah, we have been through a lot of resiliency and we know what it's like to trying to crawl out of the hole. So we invite guests to talk with us this month about how they're resilient, get them back up and thrive. That's exactly what we are here for, the thriving conversation. So Sarah, could you help us introduce yourself and then we're going to get the show going?
Okay, sure. All right. I just want to share, but I guess I better start now. Good afternoon, everybody. We are so happy that you are here with us. We are happy that our guest is here and ready to share her experience. So I'm just want to introduce myself very quickly. I'm Sarah M. I grew up in Cambodia and I enjoyed my childhood very much. But unfortunately, when I reached college age, I did not enjoy it because my country was attacked by the communism and the Khmer Rouge regime took over and they came in, they turned our life upside down, inside out. They basically destroyed our life. I struggled through this system for um, 4 long years. I almost did not make it through, but I credit to God that He protected me. He saved my life, and I was able to escape from the captivity and also escape from the country. So I was able to find myself here in the United States, and that's another gratitude, big time gratitude. So thank you everybody, and especially all my old friends in Connecticut. They are so special. So that's all I want to share. And oh, I forgot to, if I can find my book again. I have trouble finding my book. It's right here. How I Survived the Killing Field. It's available on my website, sarahim.com. And now I become a speaker. So if you know any group that want to hear the inspirational story, reach out to us, to me or Lee. We both can help you. So thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. So Sarah's stories is half of what we have in this show, and my other half is also coming from hardship, coming from a harrowing journey from Vietnam. So I was born in Vietnam, and my family escaped the communists the same time frame, 1975. That's when it got into over. Um, I don't say the word dominate, but it's overtaken by by the North, by the communists. So after 4 years of long labor and really tough for surviving, my family also decided to escape, and we took the sea trip, the boat route out to the ocean. So that was 40 years ago, and it took me that long to bounce back as far as telling the story. I mean, I have bounced back from a lot of other things, but the fear of sharing, of being vulnerable in front of people is something that not too many of the trauma victims like to do, because once it's gone, they just want to put it behind us. We don't want to talk about it. But things will not heal unless you address it. And that's why we're here encouraging people to share their story, get it behind you 100%, because the only way you can actually move on healthily is by sharing your vulnerability and make it a part of you and not afraid of sharing it. So I also tell my story on the TEDx stage 2 years ago, and I got my memoir out 6 months ago, and you can purchase it on Amazon, on e-Kindle, or you can actually get it on my website if you want a autograph from my book. And the website is called leetran.com. And the book is called I Did Not Miss the Boat. And the reason here is I truly didn't miss the boats. That's why I'm here. But many other people didn't miss their boats either. That's why we invite them here, so they can share with you their boat journey. Not literally, but you know what I mean. And Merril has been through I suppose, a very resilient period of her time throughout her lives that she have been through, with a lot of different journeys. And maybe she's not able to tell us, all in 30 minutes, because I'm sure it's a lot longer. But we're going to ask her to extract out the period that she thinks that is the rock bottom, that she can bounce back, and what make her bounce back, and how does it keep her going on. And now she is not only thriving, but she's giving back, and she's doing a lot of things for a lot of different, with many different services. So Merril, welcome to our little conversation here. And if you
Thank you
could
so
tell
much.
our audience.
Thank you for inviting me, and I'm honored to be here. And so just to say that my childhood was very, very difficult, with abuse, physical, sexual, and emotional. And so I never thought I would find the perfect husband. And that was the beginning of my life. First transformation was finding my husband. And and we had 32 wonderful, wonderful years together. And even within our marriage, we dealt with infertility, we dealt with a lot of different issues, but he really helped me deal with my past and find joy. And then that was the part that I'm going to talk about right now, losing my husband. And I was sitting with him when he passed away. And that was after 32 wonderful years, more than half of his life. And it was traumatic to the point where it didn't feel real ever. When I was in the ambulance, I kept asking the ambulance driver to pinch me, wake me up. Is this a bad dream? And it was extremely, extremely difficult. I know I remember sharing with people, I can see why women, when they lose their spouse, want to take up drinking and not get out of bed. And so I have a wonderful daughter. And so that was one of the things that motivated me to model what my husband would have wanted us to do, continue on with our lives, for her to continue.
Was that a certain death for him? I mean, was that
was a
some
sudden-
long-term illness, or?
No, it was a sudden death. He had such a minute brain bleed that he had just small symptoms. We were right in the middle of talking about going to the doctor the following day and which doctor we were going to use. And he didn't finish that sentence. So when his brain stem filled up with blood, he went to sleep and didn't wake up right in the middle of a sentence. And I could tell he was unconscious because his eyes were still open, but he wasn't with us anymore. Wow. And I'm in a very small town, so the paramedics got here immediately, the fire department. And so he was still breathing when they got here, but he passed also on the way in the ambulance. It was. I mean, if I
It
could
must
bring
be
it up.
so scary. I'm so sorry to bring you back, but
No, it's okay, but that's part of the healing. It's a
right.
chapter in my life that was beautiful. His
Mm,
journey, what he needed to teach my daughter and I, was finished and on earth, and we can continue to live that beautiful life that he cherished us with, the legacy that he left. My home, my husband moved into our home when he was 3, and when his parents passed away, we bought out his sisters because he wanted to raise his family here. That's part of my resilience of where I live,
yeah.
because I try to find joy every day, and I live in nature, and my home abounds with nature.
Where's nature? Can you tell us the location?
Yes, I live in Manitou Springs, and I live at the foot of Pikes Peak. I'm the last house in town. So
Oh,
the
wow.
bears wander through to go on the mountain, and the deer and the fox and the coyote. There are no houses. So I have no window coverings. And when I hot tub, I have no body coverings. I get to just enjoy life.
You
And
just share with nature
I,
100%.
I share with nature. And I think that there's wisdom that we get when we lose such a dear loved one, a
Yeah.
cherished loved one. And we need to look for that wisdom, and we need to focus on the blessing they were and not the loss that we have, so
Yeah.
that we can move forward.
Mm.
Um, it's
That
so
is such a wisdom. I think, I'm sure it's a lot easier to say than to get through that period. But I'm glad that you found other interests and things to make you forget the pains, not forget him, but to move on with life because you know that he would have want you to be happy.
so just to know, there were two times when I got out in the middle of the street and I raised my hands and I screamed, I can't take any more,
Oh,
at the top of my lungs. Um, One was the dogs. The dogs had picked up a cat and were playing tug of war with it, and I called the police, and I just said, I can't take this. I cannot take this. I'm gonna. And they came right up and said the cat's neck was broken right away and it didn't suffer, and so that helped me because these two big dogs were playing tug of war with a cat.
oh
That's
gosh.
devastating to me. And then I stopped at a stop sign, and I swore I looked both ways, and I pulled forward and I hit this guy's car, and very slowly, didn't do any
This
damage.
is all after
Yeah,
everything
after,
happened with your
yeah,
husband. Oh,
yeah. So then I got out again in the middle of the street and I said, please stop. I can't take anymore. At literally screaming at God, at the universe, at my husband. It's like, I don't, I thought I was focused. And the
yeah.
young gentleman whose car I hit got out of the car, looked, and he said, my car's okay. Your car's okay. I think I'm getting out of here. I think I
That's
Wow.
a blessing right there.
Yeah, he's nice.
Hmm.
So
He might not even have insurance.
that might be, but it was, I'm sure
Hmm.
I was scary. I
Yeah.
mean, here's this woman getting out of her car,
Yeah.
screaming up, I can't take anymore. So I think that with aging, with dealing with the pain that we've gone through, whatever, whether it's a divorce, if it's
Yeah.
loss, if it's illness,
Hmm.
every day we need to look for joy.
Mm-hmm.
Every day we need to look for joy. And I find gratitude. And people say, oh, how can you find gratitude? And I say, I I'm breathing, I'm upright,
Yeah.
I have friends, I have
Yeah.
connections. I have so much to be grateful for. And so that is what I focus on my healing. And then for thriving, I I have a passion for life, even with losing my husband. And shortly after I lost my husband, I lost my brother, and he was
Oh,
my only sibling. And that was very hard. That was very hard. He was my last. I didn't have. My parents were deceased, and I just had my brother, and so that again was. And he died of it's called Jacob Crutchfield disease. It's a very rare disease, and they don't do research on it, um, and you go very fast, and It was probably the closest I was to my brother. So um, I'm grateful for the time that we had together. And, but again, it was a huge loss. And so then all of a sudden, here I am. I'm on my own. Do I want to date?
Wow.
You know, I
It's
want
all
to.
come within how long, that
Oh,
period?
my brother died the year after my husband died. And my brother called me in the morning and the evening, always checking on me. How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing?
Oh,
And then how was I doing? And like I said, my daughter gave me great strength, and I'm grateful. And I know that I thought about that, and I thought if you don't have family members that are close, maybe you're into infants and you want to volunteer at the hospital in the
Yeah,
ICU and holding babies, or finding what brings you
right,
joy, finding something that, so you're not alone. When you
right.
feel alone, I'm very grateful that I connect with nature. And so I have my wildlife, and I I exercise. And during COVID, I got a 90-pound foster dog to
Your
keep me
companion.
a companion, because I couldn't even see my daughter. Couldn't go. I haven't been to a hairdresser.
Your hair looks great.
Thank you. Since a year ago, March, I haven't been in a restaurant. Um, and that's okay. I've had my vaccines, but I am in my 70s, and I want to be safe, healthy, and have longevity with passion.
Well, to say that Merrill just have one passion is understatement, because Merrill got many, many passions, and I am so fortunate to have met Merrill, I think maybe 5 or 6 months ago,
Yes.
because she has been volunteer so many things, and Refugee Film School is one of the many things. So can you give us a list of things that you are volunteer or work or do, because we're gonna have to keep the list.
Okay. So one of the things that I do volunteer wise is I volunteer at our zoo.
Mhm.
And with COVID, we've had to make some changes, but that's a passion. I'm very much into animals. So I really love volunteering at the zoo. And I volunteer with Refugee Film School. And then I have some,
You're not just volunteer, you're actually the dean of the
I'm,
school.
yes, as a volunteer. Yes.
Yes, yes, as a volunteer, but it's not any casual.
Right.
I think you're one of the founding members also,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. And at the zoo, I do tours. I mean, I had to take courses and take tests. I'm not the volunteer that just scoops poop and brushes.
Yeah.
I find great satisfaction in learning all the time and learning about animals. I run an Airbnb. I'm an Uber driver. I work at the Air Force Academy. I work at Colorado College. Those are just a few of the jobs that I do.
And
oh,
Um,
she's also tutoring college
Oh,
students.
that's true. I tutor college students. I know. I would have to look at my calendar. I'm also a writer. I love writing, and
Mhm.
Lee and I were just talking about I might do some copy editing for her in her next book. And I'm a blogger, and
And
I'm
in her spare time before COVID, she's also volunteer for Jana Stanfield, who is a singer, songwriter that has been on this platform, I think a month or so ago.
yes.
And tell us, what is Voluntour,
So
Meryl?
when we volunteer, and I've been, as I shared with Sarah, I've been to Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam, India, Turkey. Um, this Together we can change the world, was which Together we can change the world is an organization that Jana Stanfield and Scott Friedman founded, and I became her assistant and helped with the getting people who have never traveled before, their nerves, making sure they have the right visas, making sure that they have the right airline tickets, that their needs are met, that their questions are answered, whether they're going or not. I was available for them to answer all these questions. And then we'd go and we had Dr. Fine out of Boulder come and examine their teeth, and we would keep them entertained. So we service orphanages, group homes. In Thailand, we have an older home for women who need to get away from an abusive situation, and that's in Chiang Mai, and it's self-sufficient. They have gardens, they have animals, they have pigs and chickens, and then they also make cards. They can, one of the things with elephants, you can make paper out of cow dung and or elephant dung, and make,
Wow, I didn't know that.
yes, and they're beautiful, they're
Hmm.
excellent. And so
Because they have so much fiber in them. Is that right?
yes, uh-huh. And you
Wow,
just press it.
interesting.
You can Google that and make
Hmm.
some, yeah, yeah.
So
So
the whole entire thing is not only just traveling, but it's such a purposeful
it's very much
trip. It's an
service.
experience
Yes. And
to
I wanted
do
to share,
charity as well.
yes, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sarah, when I was in Siam Reap, they had the Peace Cafe. That's what it was called. And the monks would come and they had a sign up for English speakers, native English speakers. And I met my first student there. Her name was Marina Ray, and her mother was very worried about her learning and going to the university at Phnom Penh because of what her mother experienced. She didn't want her daughter to wear glasses because if she wore glasses, she might be killed. And so
Phew.
that was where
Wow.
that was her, you understand that? That was the regime that they did not want anybody educated.
Yeah.
And so it was very difficult for these students to tell their parents it was safe for them to get an education. And I went from one student to 3 to 6 to 12. And then I called Jana, who was staying somewhere else. And I said, I need your help teaching English to these 12 students. They're all on different levels. And to get into the University of Phnom Penh, they have to be fluent in Vietnamese. They have to be fluent in Khmer, Khmer. They
Wow.
have to be fluent in English, and they have to be fluent in French. And that's just to get into
What
the,
year was that?
uh,
Was that in the 90s
oh
or?
no, that was, oh, that's, I've only traveled in 2000.
Okay, so
So
it's
I would say,
much later than the area
yeah.
the era that Sarah's gone.
Oh, right. But
Okay.
but these are people that are her age
Mm-hmm.
or a little younger who
It's a
experienced,
trauma that is
yeah,
staying there for a
yeah.
long time.
And Marina has graduated and with many degrees. She's a midwife. She's getting her medical degree, and we keep in touch. I keep in touch with many of the students that I've traveled over the world to see. I have many students in Turkey. I stayed at host homes. People say, how do you afford to do this? Because I didn't know. I led the tour in Vietnam. Jana didn't do that.
Yeah.
She went on to Myanmar. And you have to have a sense of humanity, trust that the universe and surrender.
Mm.
And I stayed at host homes. In Turkey, I went back 5 times. I love Turkey and Cambodia at least 3 or 4 times. I love Siem Reap and I love the people. So it's about being passionate, and it's about not worrying about your age. And I share that worrying about your wrinkles and worrying about, I mean, our society talks about you. I walked into Costco and on the left was anti-wrinkle cream or get rid of brown spots. And you just need to embrace yourself as a woman and say, what am I passionate about? How do I find joy in life? I want to live a very vibrant, I want to live a very graceful, I want to have joy every day.
That is just so beautiful for what you have gone through, and that resiliency really kicking in the way that you find life meaningful in a different way. not let it bury with your husband, but also prosper from finding who you are, what you want to do. And if you think Merril is an energized bunny, I mean, I think the energized bunny in the commercial have no match with her. She has she has gone from one job to the next and the next, and she is somebody I look up to. When I grow up, I want to be like her.
Oh, thank you, Lee.
And just and tell people, what are you doing now? You are certifying to be a life coach.
A life coach, and I'm going through the International Coaching Federation. So I'm doing the ICF program
Yes.
with you.
So
Lee.
we're doing together.
We're
So
doing
that's what I
together.
got to know Merril, and she's my accountability partner.
Yes, we meet
She
the
keep
first-
me in check.
and you keep me in check. So that is good. So if anybody wants to get some practicum counseling, I think my contact information was on the link. You can just write to merrilbs@gmail.com. And I would be glad to talk to you about what is holistic coaching. It means everything you need to know. It's not therapy. It's not counseling.
It's opened the world for us.
Yes.
Both, we actually learn a lot by sitting in live virtual session together a lot of times. But Merril, you are such a joy. You
thank
always
you.
give. You give a lot to the students in Malaysia. You give a lot to the community. You give a lot to the people, your friends. And I really, truly appreciate you, and see how you appreciate life, even though all this thing that you have gone through, and living by herself very independently in a big house in the middle of nowhere, and running a B&B. So Sarah, we're going to have to do a sister trip to
Yes.
B&B
Yes.
at
Yes.
Merrill's.
I want everyone to realize that living is a privilege.
Yeah.
And we need to cherish it.
Yeah.
And everything we do when we have life come into our lives on whatever level, whether we choose it, whether it's birth to us,
Yeah.
whatever, we have to cherish that. It's vitality, it's passion, it's excitement.
I know.
And
I do the same too. I'm always constantly looking for inspiration, because sometimes if you don't, you kind of feel stuck. So if you don't have inspiration, grab a book, a podcast, or even talk to Merril. Call her up. She'll give you tons of inspiration to do.
Yeah. This is what an example of a retirement well lived.
Oh, she's not retiring.
No.
I know, yeah, but
After retirement,
but the word retirement is almost sounds like you're gonna sit, do nothing.
Sarah,
Right,
Retire.
I want to hear what Sarah has to say here. Let's
some people they give their life to the job, to the business or whatever, but after the retirement time they don't know what to do. This is the example of a well-lived retirement.
Yes.
You-
And you don't have to retire to do this. If you're not happy in your job, that's what we do. We say, what do you need to do to be happy? How can you get passion in your life? Once you have that joy, you're not going to want to work where you're not happy, and you'll find something that makes you happy. And then if you surrender to it, it will bring you income.
I would call an active retired person, because retire does not mean you're going to read book and just sit all day and wait for dinners and early bird dinner. You can be being in the score. You can help small business community to start up a business. You can tutor, like what Merrill's doing for student now with Zoom. You can give back so many ways, because you have been through life in such a rich experience. Why keep it, right? And passion is finding joy while you're doing it. So
and you want to step into life. Don't
mhm,
let life pass you by. Connect
mhm.
every day and find joy in something. I called Rhonda yesterday because I was having a rough day by the afternoon, and I'm going,
Who should I call?
yeah, who should I call of my, yeah. And it's okay to have a day that, that triggered one thing to trigger another thing, and it's like, okay, but I still have joy, I still have passion, I'm still eager to see the sunrise. I unplug every morning for the sunrise, I
Oh,
unplug every
nice.
evening for the sunset, because that connects me, that grounds me to the present, to the gift of living.
Hmm.
And we're so great if our capacity for joy, we don't even touch it, and we need to take time,
And
breathe,
gratitude, right?
and
I mean,
gratitude.
acknowledge that that is a gift.
Yeah.
Be able to watch the sunrise and the sunset. Many people don't have eyesight. Many people, can't imagine or don't have the time or what, so it is a gift. It is a really, truly something that we need to use it more often.
And the other thing which I haven't mentioned is that there are many issues going on in the world,
Yeah.
whether it's the incident with the Asian shooting in Alabama, with the Black
Yeah.
Lives Matter, with racism, with white supremacy. We can't focus on that. What we need to focus on is living our life in a way that represents how we think the world should be. And we should model love. We should model conflict with love,
Yeah.
because if we get angry, which it's reasonable. I was angry when my husband passed. I was angry, but it didn't do me any good. And so I thought, what's the most beneficial thing I can do? Live with compassion. What would he want me to do? It's like, what would Sonny want me to do? Um, be in joy, be appreciative for the time we had together. Look back on that with a blessing. Smile because I had it. How many women don't have that? And so, with all of our issues, we need to be active. We need to take a stand, but we can't let it dominate our life, because then we're not modeling love, compassion, and living our lives fully, which is what we want the world to do, or
And the
which is
thing you were
I should.
saying that we do have angers but we shouldn't take it on other people. Use that anger and channel into your hobby, your passion, your things that you can do to benefit other. Go to the hospital and check on the volunteer in the hospital. Go to school and help the students. There's so many energy that we can channel into love, into good use. So I appreciate about, mention about the hate crimes out there. There's so many. If we can understand each other and tell our story and connect with other people, then we wouldn't feel threatened. We wouldn't feel afraid of another race, of another, people of any kind. So connect with other people. And Merril, I think I am too. We're so blessed that we have a list of friends that we can call when you're down. Make sure you have a list of friends that you can actually dial their quick dial number and say, I need to talk, I need to vent, I need to do something to get it out so you don't bottle it up. So that's what I have. But any other advice that you have as a last word, Merril?
Yes, reach out anytime that you're feeling. Reach out. There are numbers that are all over, whether it's the suicide prevention line in our county. It's star 211,
Mm-hmm.
and you can get food, and you can get service, and you can get help. And
Yeah.
there are so many people that are willing to help. So, but my biggest advice is find that smile,
Mm.
and be grateful that you're alive, no matter how difficult the situation is at the time, that you can work through it. And if you need help working through it, there are many people out there that
Yeah.
are willing to help you.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say that you can find gratitude in any situation.
Yes.
And do not blame. I think, things happens. COVID is happened. Nobody should be blamed for things that this capacity. Um, and the blaming thing is not going to get us anywhere. All we have to do is work together to get rid of this virus so we can get out and be connected again face to face with people.
And as
So,
you said, when you blame, it's the past. That's anger.
mhm,
When you worry, it's about the future. If you stay in the present and live your life fully, it's full of joy.
mhm.
So stay connected and stay in the present.
And get busy doing
And-
good work, like Merril. She never have time for angry or anything because she's so busy. Well,
I'm
thank
just
you for.
very grateful. Thank you for having me on the show. Sarah, we need to touch base at some point and just stories. Loved Cambodia very much. And Lee, I loved Vietnam. I know that's a difficult place for you. We
Oh,
shared that.
no, it's
And
not. You know, it was 40 years ago. I have not been back. So it's, I'm sure it's a very, very different Vietnam right now. It's just like it's very different Cambodia compared to 40 years ago with Sarah.
so I shouldn't make any assumptions. Sorry.
Oh gosh, it's all good. But thank you so much for spending your for taking your busy time out and share with our audience about your life, your
My pleasure.
exciting journey.
My pleasure. And
Yeah.
again, just I can't share enough. Find passion, find joy, and your life will go a little smoother.
Sure.
Resilient, yes.
Yeah, I think you find joy in helping people, joy in people, uplifting people in different way. So that's is the best of all.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Well, if anyone wish to connect with Merril, she's have not a lot of free time, but you need help tutoring or life coaching, she offer to do a practicum. So
I will
if you
do a
want to,
practicum with you. So just contact me and to listen to your passions and help you uncover them and help you find your joy, because it won't
yeah.
be about me, it'll be
Mhm.
about you.
Awesome. Thank you, Merril.
Thank
Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next Monday. Bye, Sarah. Bye,
Bye.
Merril.
Bye, Lee.